parents immigrated to Austin from Mexico City in 1988, and I've grown up in Austin ever since. Born to immigrant parents, so just live life as a dual citizen, Mexican citizen and American citizen. The ATX Barrio Archive, it's a digital archive on Instagram documenting the cultural heritage and history of Austin's POC neighborhoods, past and present. Well, a lot of it started at the house with my family, my mom documenting our life, our experience as Mexican immigrants in Austin, volunteering my time with museums and archives, and noticing that they don't always include people like myself, like my family's POC stories, even though Austin has a rich history, of POC neighborhoods and families and businesses. So I've studied archiving, I've studied the libraries and museums and at the university, and I've always tried to bridge that gap between, the academy, the institutions, and the community, the barrio, the hoods of Austin, where so much culture happens, but it's never reflected as much in the museums and in these institutions. The archive came about from a lot of frustration, seeing, my hometown, seeing homes and businesses be destroyed without any recognition of, the people that occupied these spaces and the history they created. A lot of people only talk about the new wealth that moved into the east side. It's a very Christopher Columbus narrative, that we came in and we took over, and ever since then it's our story, our bar. The materials, half of it is research-based, so going to archives and finding stuff that is relevant to the East Austin community, to the Black community, to the immigrant community, because there are records out there, but most of the times they're pretty obscure, they're kept hidden, they're photographs from social surveys, and they're not necessarily shared with the community, where they were recorded. And the other half is outreach in the community. It's me speaking to longtime residents from Austin, asking them with permission to share their story, their photographs, encouraging them to participate. The most interesting find in the ATX Barrio Archive, I'd say, is the civil rights history of Austin. That is unfortunately very hard to find. You have to dig very deep in the records to find any mention of Black Power movements in Austin, Chicano movement in Austin. So reading in the records about how Dr. Martin Luther King spoke in Austin, how Cesar Chavez came to Austin to support Chicano workers that were on strike. We have such a rich civil rights history from the 70s through the 90s and even into today. And there's enough to, recognize it with monuments, to give it its own museum, but it's embarrassing, it's frustrating that we don't honor it enough. The city doesn't honor it officially. It's just in the minds of the people that lived through it. The next step for the ATX Barrio Archive, I'm working on an exhibit at the Carver Museum, and it's going to be a narrative about Black and Brown solidarity in Austin. There's many instances of that through the birth of hip-hop in Austin, with breakdance crews and hip-hop crews playing on East Riverside. Hip-hop wasn't really accepted that much back then, so both communities had a part in that. And another step is going to be just creating free publications with photographs and history of landmarks that are long gone, landmarks that are still here in East Austin, and giving them out to the community for free. Businesses leaving them in public spots, because there needs to be more literature about this community and about, this part of town. They deserve these history books, so producing stuff for the people. There's so much you can do with a library card. I would say libraries are a great resource for scanning documents, photographs, paper records, digitizing, even looking up basic facts about, your street, your city. So there's a lot of power in these public spaces that you can use to your advantage to protect your family history from being lost or being disrespected, at the official level. reaching out to family members and talking about the past, recording stories with your iPhone. It's so easy, you know, to reach out and bridge the generational gap and just document it, you know, own it, celebrate it. There's an elder in the community. His name is Pete Rivera. He's lived in East Austin his whole life, and he has done a lot of work to publicize the illegal dumping and the sort of mistreatment, illegal mistreatment of a lot of parkland in his neighborhood that, because it's located on the east side, has been neglected by city government and abused by citizens because it's considered not worthy, is considered just off the radar and no one will pay attention. He has done a lot of work recently to clean it up, to restore it back to native habitat, to turn it into parkland for East Austin residents. He is a big inspiration. He's, I would say, a civil rights icon in our time right now for cleaning up his neighborhood and advocating for the rights of East Austin community members. The Barrio Archive is important because we need a source for these stories. It's not a matter of waiting for when the official people that are tasked with historic preservation and museums will notice us and give us space. I think it's up to us, people that lived in these communities, to tell our own stories and to tell it right. You know, our community is attacked every day in the news, and I think we're the ones to defend ourselves with our heritage, with our past. But it's up to us to take a stand and document what hasn't been documented at all in the past, and really make sure that we're included in the history of Austin, that we are truly representative of our city. You know, our communities helped build this city, helped create the culture that it's famous for today. So we really need to, you know, identify our contributions and celebrate it ourselves. Hi, my name is Garcia, and this is LatinxVoices.